Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Mentorship Monday, where we talk about things that are spiritual, metaphysical, mediumship, and all these good things. Again, with some more M's with Maren and Michelle. And it's Monday. Hi, guys. Hey, Maren.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing so good. I'm so excited for today.
I think that I'm going to send you some M&Ms. I don't know why you were just saying all of that, and I was like, we just could be like snacking on M&Ms
I
during this
know.
show or something. Like,
It's the M&M show. It is the
yes, I
M&M
love it.
show. Yeah, we should
Mm-hmm.
just tighten it up to welcome to the M&M show. Because
Oh,
I
I love
think by
that.
now everybody that's watching knows exactly what we're doing, and we
Mm-hmm.
are M&M. So welcome to the M&M show, everybody.
Love it. Oh, how are you
So
doing? What's going
I'm
on?
I'm doing well. This week has been pretty good. Poor little Marcus got sick again. So
Oh,
yeah, there's all kinds of head colds and viruses and things running through the classroom. So there's been a little bit of a chain effect that way, but I'm healthy and I am well, which is good.
good,
So,
good.
but it was so interesting. Yesterday we had a fascinating little moment. I'm getting out of the shower. I'm just getting dressed, and my husband's like, he calls me mommy. He's like, "Mommy, you need to come out here. You need to come out here," and because he's with the kids, and I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, you have to come out and see. I can't show you. You have to come out." So I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on now?" So I come out, and not all of my kids, but one was sleeping, but they're standing over this box, and my husband reaches in and he pulls out a little rabbit, and it is like I've never seen a rabbit like this ever before, and it is a little brown rabbit, but it had like tiger stripes around its neck. Like I kid you not, like little, like a tabby cat. Like it had little
Yeah.
tiger stripes. It was all brown, the white tail, and then a little white diamond on its head up here. And I'm like, but
Oh my gosh, like a
it was
third
a wild
eye.
rabbit.
Oh,
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
a wild rabbit.
Yes. Yes.
Where'd they find
Definitely.
it?
Well, so one of our cats, my husband was outside and he was working on his bike, and one of our cats comes walking up the pathway holding a rabbit in its mouth. So
Oh
my husband
no.
hollers at the cat to drop it, and he went and picked it up and brought it inside. So they had just checked it all over to see if there's any puncture wounds or is there anything, and it was fine. Like it was just scared. It was really scared. So they were holding it and just keeping it safe and petting it and then put it in the little box and just to see, if there's anything it needed. But the fact my kids are like, "Can we keep it? Can we keep it?" And I said no, because I said this is a little wild rabbit. And it wasn't a baby. It was small, but it wasn't a weanling. Like it was a big enough rabbit that it could take care of itself. It wasn't with its mother, but it was a small rabbit. And so anyway, we all kind of had a little peek, and I said I think the best thing to do is take it back out more where there's some more, bush and stuff out back and away from the cats and let it go, because I said you can't keep a wild animal in captivity. You just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it's, as much as I was like, "Oh, I'd love to keep this little rabbit," like we knew we had to let it go. So we had a few moments with it, and it was such like this little rabbit was just so sweet, but it was scared. It was so scared, but my husband picked it up and it just jumped right up into his neck and just kind of curled
Oh.
up there and everything. But he took it out back and then he let it go and it just ran, took off, just started running, like happy to go. So
Oh,
that
good.
was so I looked up the spiritual meaning of having a rabbit come to your door. I was like, is there a different meaning to a rabbit being in your cat's mouth coming to the door? But I decided that I would just accept a rabbit coming to your door, which is a lot of transformation, new beginnings, abundance, all kinds of great things. So I was like, I'll take it. I'll take that as an answer.
Yeah, that's especially a
Yeah.
rabbit with like the little third eye marking. That's kind of
Isn't that
crazy.
weird? Like, right?
Yeah.
Little diamond right there.
Mhm.
And then this like little tiger collar around its neck. It was just,
Mhm.
unbelievable. It was a typical brown rabbit in every other way, like a brown
Mhm.
bunny, but just all of this other stuff. It was a beautiful little rabbit. So we were glad that our cat Munchie did not munch because she brings other things to our door all the time.
I know.
So,
I was gonna say, well, I can see a pet rabbit in your future, but I don't know if that would go so well with your cat.
well, we did have a rabbit that was my one of my nieces had a rabbit, and this is several years ago, and she couldn't keep it any longer, so we took the rabbit in, and my husband got so attached. This was his rabbit, and its name was Bon Bon, and this rabbit was like trained to him and would hop around the house, and it was a really sweet rabbit. But when she died, my husband said, "We are never getting a rabbit again." And then yesterday he was actually like, "I wonder what we could do. Like how could we keep this rabbit?" But I was like, "No, we can't." I said, I
Yeah.
know we can't. We just can't." I said, "The rabbit will die in captivity. It needs to go." So
Mhm.
we did the best that we could, but if anybody knows about wild rabbits, maybe you could, like, we were thinking that we would call like a wildlife rescue or something, but everything that we looked up was closed and the rabbit wasn't injured, like it
Yeah.
wasn't in any distress other than being a little freaked out from the whole experience. So
Yeah.
once it
I'm sure he's
calmed down,
fine.
yeah, yeah,
Now he's
and
got a little story to tell his little
he
rabbit friends
does.
about his near-death experience.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. And this human came out. Humans are not bad. The human saved me. So funny. Speaking of humans and non-humans, what are we going to be doing today? Oh, actually, before we talk about that, I want to ask you, what happened with your fire ceremony?
Oh, yes. I did my fire ceremony.
Yep.
And you know what is really strange? Everything kind of came into place. So, I I think the thing about the fire ceremony is I just don't like big fires. I don't like smoke. And I was like, and I don't know how I feel about fire
Yeah.
rituals yet. So it's like, if I make it small, then I'll feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I already had the corn, I already had the squash, and the beans I kept forgetting about, but I was like, I'll get some beans, whenever. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. This was Saturday night. I'm gonna do it Saturday night. And so I get everything together. And do you know what my husband ate for lunch Saturday afternoon? Was beans. And he didn't eat a whole can. He only ate half a can and he left the other half for me, thinking I would eat it for lunch. And I didn't eat it for lunch. And then I was looking around, I'm like, okay, I need to find some beans. And I was like, oh, the beans. Oh my gosh. Like it was
That's
meant
awesome.
to be today.
Yep. Yep. That's awesome.
um, yeah, so I did it, and it was really cool because I had it in this little bowl, and I'll put the pictures on my Instagram. I had it in this little bowl, and I could feel this Native American come on my left side, and he was like showing me how to do it because I the squash and the corn, they weren't dried out, so they kept
Yep.
like putting, because it was such a little fire, they kept,
Right.
it was like the fire would go and then the fire would get down and then it would just blow out. And so it's like I could hear this man kind of like instruct me on what I'm supposed to be doing. And my husband got in the way. It was so funny because I was like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to light a candle and say a prayer about how the candle's connecting me to God. And then I'm going to take my Palo Santo as a wood stick and I'm going to, get it lit in my candle. And then I'm going to transfer it to my little fire ceremony bowl. And that's like how I'm going to start the fire, and it's going to be beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there and I've got my like little stick that's lit, my little Palo Santo stick. And my husband just goes, what do you need that stick for? That's not going to work. And like takes a lighter and lights my fire. And I was like, I know, like that's so him, like just trying to fix something,
Yeah.
And I
Here,
was
let
like,
me do
hey,
it.
I know. I was trying to make it natural, and the candle was like my representation of God's light, and I was lighting it into this fire. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't I didn't
Oh,
realize that. I'm sorry I messed up your whole ceremony. I'm like,
that's
oh,
so
it's
funny.
okay. It turns out in the end, I needed the lighter like several times to relight the
Yeah.
fire because
Yeah.
the squash kept putting it out. But it's really good. And afterwards, I felt like more Native Americans from different tribes were coming to me. And I saw this one man was so beautiful with this like tapestry. I don't know what you call it, cloak, cloth. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but when they like put their arms out
Yeah.
wide and like it hangs down and it's
Mhm.
just gorgeous. Like
Mhm.
he was wearing that. It was beautiful. And so they said thank you, and it was really beautiful, and it was very I don't know, I was scared, but of doing it. Remember, I was just
Yeah.
so hesitant, and then
Yeah.
doing it, I was like, wow, I'm really at peace. I'm really
Yeah.
relaxed. This is really beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that I can be doing this to just, and then that just like what we talked about, just changing the energy. And I just said
Yeah.
prayers that I hope, because there's no past or present, I said, I really hope that doing this gives somebody some love and comfort. And,
Yeah.
I was trying to like send it into the past. Like
Yes.
this, I hope that this helps give you love and reassurance and comfort. And,
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
so yeah, so it was really
Well,
cool.
that's
And
awesome. That's
I
good.
really, really enjoyed it. So,
I'm glad that went well. And it's amazing because when I like how you mentioned about the past and the future, because there really is only an ever present now, and it is hard for our human brains to understand that. But
hmm
when we do something in the present, we can change the vibration. Like we are alchemists.
hmm
So we can change the energy with our intention by focusing in the present towards a situation or a group or an energy or anything, and that does help. And we can also practice that in our own life as well, when it comes to connections with other people.
hmm
And, we can focus that energy, whether it be a situation that has occurred, that we have a memory that maybe it's not the most preferable way that we communicated with someone, and we can change that energy by going back into, you know, having a ceremony. Having a ceremony for something. Like, why can't we do that for
hmm
anything? Because it's about the energy of it. But that's quite
hmm
powerful because I'm getting that there was a lot of support from the water, a lot of support from the water by you. And that seems like
Yeah.
all that energy came up from the water.
Yeah.
And that calmness is what I'm picking up on. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did it by the water so I could see that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I
That's
was I
beautiful.
was originally doing it under my patio on my patio table, and then I'm seeing these little embers go everywhere. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is not a good
Like,
idea.
yeah, maybe this is
So,
not a good idea over here.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
put on like the grill mitts and I moved my fire to a
Yeah.
more natural environment. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, we do have a visitor here, and that's what I was getting to when I spoke earlier when I was saying, speaking of non-human, we do
Oh,
have
yes. I
a
know
visitor
you
here. Yeah.
guys have been asking for this.
Yeah. So we have Adrian here, and many of you know Adrian has come through on channeling Eric through myself and through other mediums. And Adrian is so I was asking Maren, and so he stepped in a little earlier with us before we started filming. So I'll get you to say again what you picked up, because this would be the first time that you've actually connected with Adrian and felt his presence, right?
hmm
So
hmm
um maybe explain what you sense from Adrian. What do you feel?
Okay. So yeah, Michelle asked what I felt, and I feel something through my heart chakra. Like I feel my heart chakra expand with him.
Mhm.
Um, so that is really interesting. Yes, she goes, it was funny because you go, I felt this like ping through my heart chakra, and then you go, do you feel him? And I was like, well, yeah, in my heart chakra.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And what do you feel with like do you feel a personality with him? Do you feel any
Well,
kind
I
of...
asked you if he was very formal because I heard him say greetings, and I was like, oh, is he really formal? And you said, yes, he is. So yeah, so I feel like he's very formal, very loving. I do feel a calmness with him. And like a hair bit of a funniness too.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
do
want to
too.
say he's like a jolly old soul.
Mm-hmm.
He is funny. He's funny. So he's many of you watching communicate with Adrian, and he works with many different people. He's very excited to. So if you do not know Adrian and you would like to get to know him, he's got a warm and welcome invite out for anyone that would like to connect with him. He comes across as a tall white. He is like an ambassador. Um, there are other tall whites as well, that also do communicate. And what he's just saying is that anybody who, okay, he says hello, greetings. Anybody that does want to work with him, um, he likes to, yes, he answers questions about humanity, and he will talk about his race and things like that. But what he's very focused on today, and he loves to help people with their lives. And what he came through today and started to say to Maren and I in expressing that he was wanting to talk today, and we had asked him to come in at one of these episodes that we're recording. We just didn't know which day that was going to happen, and today is the day. But he talks about happiness, and in result of all of the changes that we have in the world right now, he's just saying that with so many things that are going on in the world right now, he says, how do we maintain our happiness? How do we maintain that when we do not have all the answers? And he's acknowledging the fear that many people have. This is the events that we are seeing, some of the fear coming from what we've experienced in the past. And also, he's saying that many things that are spoken of, projected, um, many things that are coming. Sorry, there's noise behind me. I just had to check to see
Oh,
what it was. Um, he's just saying that the fear that is coming through so many people, and understandably so, but he says that we have to practice living without the fear, um, allowing the fear to be an indicator and not having it be the lost leader that we follow. And he does say that fear is what keeps us from growing. And he's saying this on multiple levels. So as he's saying this, he's showing me, um, you know, so many different, from weather patterns to um, agendas, political agendas. He says non-human agenda, because there is an energy, a consciousness that does, it's the best way to say it, block humanity, block us, or wants to block us from connecting with our true self. But what he really wants to focus on today, and just know that something else he's sharing with me is, as we talk today, um, he's saying that any questions, like we can have other conversations with him. And if you do have questions, you put them down in the comments if there's any questions that you have that you would like to ask. And maybe we'll open up, we can do like a community and just ask some questions there. And Adrian can answer them because he's showing me, like, as we're listening, there's so many questions about different things. But here's the thing that he really got into, and this is what he shared with Maren and I right from the beginning, is he says, it's not about what is right, what is wrong, what is left, what is right, what is up, what is down. We can look at sides, picking sides. But he says, most importantly, it is not about the side you choose, but how do you behave? How do you make your choices to bring people together? And as he's saying that, he's showing that each one of us has the ability to be able to create togetherness in our own life, in our own relationships. And he's going to get a little deeper into that. But he really wants to help us connect to ourself and help us be okay in not having all the answers. And how can we be okay with the amount of fear that maybe we're not even feeling ourselves, but we're experiencing other people living in? Because we're all in these different spaces, and while we're on this journey, here we are all together and we're consciously knowing we're on a spiritual journey, but there's many people that aren't existing in that way, and that is not wrong. It's different. But, how do we support that? How do we bring more togetherness when there are things that we want to bring change to in our lives and in our communities, the world at large? So that's kind of where he's directing today. So I don't know
Okay.
exactly where you want to start with Adrian or what questions, but I guess we'll just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah. I think that it is I just love the leading by love and not by fear. I think there's so many times in my day or week where like somebody will say something and I'll be, or even me, and I'll just question, wait, was that fear? Was I worried something bad was going to happen? Or am I leading with love through that situation? So I can think
Mm.
of a very specific conversation. Yeah.
And he says that love is the ultimate power, that
Yeah.
we do not give enough credit to what love can do. In fact, because so many people see love as whatever that has been in their experience, well, maybe some have not felt true love. And if you've not felt true love for yourself, he says, then you may have a challenge feeling that love has power. But
Mm-hmm.
he says the importance of understanding that feeling love within ourselves, and that is by questioning how we feel. To love ourselves, that is a process. It is not something that we automatically come here with. In fact, correction, he says we do embody pure love, but we learn through society, through experiences, that love is something that we must chase, something that we must obtain. That
Mm-hmm.
love is something that we will not experience, that it is conditional, that love is something that we must have or that we will feel once we get to a certain point in our life, once we
Mm-hmm.
obtain the relationship that we desire or that we think we should have. And he says, and where does that thought come from in the first place? Where does that idea come? Well, somebody else placed that expectation on you and said, well, this must be exactly what love is, so I'm going to go and chase that. And what if that was not realistic at all? What if that had nothing to do with it? And he says, and in fact, you're chasing something that is not even really true. Because he says love is a power from within. Love is the source energy that runs through you. Love is pure, but it comes
Mm-hmm.
through our system and expresses itself in so many different ways. So by understanding what the love is in myself, well, do I love myself enough that I'm going to, and he says, Maren, we'll take your example. Do I love myself enough that I am willing to slow down in this moment and ask, where did that thought come from? Was that a thought that comes from someone else? Is that a belief that I picked up on in my lifetime? Does that belief come from the voice of my mother, of my father? Or does that come from a teacher? Or does that come from a colleague, from a peer? So he says investigating where that voice comes from is giving yourself love. And you see, if you give yourself love in all of these small ways, by giving yourself compassion, by saying that, well, I do hold fear. These things have happened to me in my life and they happened over and over again, and I expect them to happen again. Well, it would be loving to say, well, of course, I have experienced all these things in my life and I have felt pain. And is it possible that my brain, my mind is connected to that pattern? And so that expectation has been set, but I love myself enough to say that it's okay that I think that way. It's okay that I feel that way, but I am also going to allow a new choice. I'm going to love myself enough to investigate that and start by saying, that belief is not mine. I choose to believe in better. I choose to believe that the fear that I feel is not coming from a place of actuality, because there is only the present moment. And in this present moment, we each have the ability to be able to choose our happiness. Now, maybe the choices that are in front of you right now are not the choices that you prefer. Maybe there are two or three choices that you say, well, I don't take all of them and they all feel fearful, but could you choose the one that is less fearful? Because you see, changing your beliefs overnight is not going to happen. Many of you have been patterns for so many times, or if I'm not speaking directly to you, then possibly we're speaking to someone in your family or someone in your life that is very fearful at this time. And as things change in the world, that fear becomes stronger and stronger. So can we give compassion to the self and give compassion to others to say that they've been this way for a very long time, and by choosing a least fearful option, by choosing something that is a step better, is going to ultimately head you in that next direction where the next thing will be less and less. You see, because fear is something that is built in us as an alarm system. So it gives us the opportunity to say, is there something here that I must run from? Is there something here? Well, that was put in each one of you so that at times when you were fighting for your food, where you were having to be cautious of what was lurking in the dark around you, when your survival skills as human beings were necessary to your day-to-day functioning. And in the world that many of you are living in and are from right now, those survival skills are not the same. So as those fears come up, you take them as an alarm system. Is there something truly here that I need to be afraid of? In this moment, am I thinking about what could happen? Even if you look around and say, well, all the evidence points to this, ask yourself, am I truly safe in this moment? And sometimes it is the only thing that one can do, is to continuously ask themselves, am I safe in this moment? Am I okay in this moment? Are the people I love safe in this moment? And so this is something that each one of you can work on day to day. And if you do that, you will find the momentum of happiness will begin to creep in more and more. And a wink and a nod to many of you, because I know that many of you have been working very hard at this indeed. He's a mouthful.
I'm writing it down. It's so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's a bit of a talker.
Wow. I just love that. I love that, because love is internal, right? We are all love. It's running through us, but it's these outside sources that say we need to go get love and find this outside source of love, but it's not there. It's within.
That's right.
And so you have to say, investigate where this came from.
Yes.
And in my specific situation that I was thinking about, investigate where this came from. This fear was not even my fear. It was a societal fear.
Yeah.
And that's so profound it's so profound.
Mm.
And then am I safe? Because sometimes I feel like we will even jeopardize our own safety to like accommodate the peace, right? But if you just go like I'm imagining this as if I say, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do me because I feel loved and whole and whatever. And it might cause some fractures in some relationships. But that's better because you're safe
Yes.
than not listening to yourself and going with
Yes.
the fear-based things and agreeing with
Yes.
fear-based things that other people are thinking of.
That's right. And
So,
as you're saying that, he's also showing me how easy it is to fall into that patterning, because as we connect with other people, well-meaning people that, are, say they've heard this in the news, or this is going on and this is going on, and for many people it affects their daily functioning. And so he says that it is so easy, and to be aware of when we are going along with somebody else. So we could be sitting at dinner with our family and a conversation comes up about, oh, those grocery prices and all of these, what's going to happen with this? And well, if you don't get that shot in your arm, or if you don't do this, then you're not, you're not, like, aren't you worried about this? And this is going to happen. You're going to get sick. And what he's saying is, you have to do what's right for you. He's not putting it's wrong or it's right. He's saying
right.
what's most important is what is right for you, what is affecting you right now, and to be careful with co-signing other people's beliefs.
Yes.
Because he says
Yeah.
so easily we can get caught up in that conversation and be agreeing with them. And he says there's times where, yes, people will speak, and of course, practically, he says we listen, but can we listen without agreeing and still be holding space for them to have their conversation? Because he says
Or
that's where we
disagreeing,
really,
either or. Yeah.
yes, and not being afraid to say, well, that's not me. I don't feel that way, or I believe differently. Or even, he says, again, it doesn't have to be contrasting. What is most comfortable for you? Maybe in that moment it is, I prefer not to discuss this, or that is not my experience. But it could also be, well, I'm working on not like entertaining those ideas. He says, think about how you feel prior to some of these situations based on some of the ones you've had. Because he says that as we work on our own beliefs and really what do we feel, two things we have to keep in mind is, one, if we don't understand where our beliefs are, if we don't understand what we feel in the present moment, then how do we know where to go? How do we know
Mhm.
where to carry forward? Because our beliefs are going to be, and he says the uh, best way for each of us to practice with our belief systems is to see where they are at and to be comfortable in them being flexible. Because he says we do not have all the answers. And he was saying this to Maren and I before. He says, no one channel will give all of the answers. He says, you are going to pick bits and pieces of what's going on in the world, but it is you. You are the best channel for you. You
Yeah.
are the best source of information because you are directly connected to source. No one person has a better connection to source for you than you. And so
Yeah.
he's saying it's about practicing where you're at and being open to that changing. Be open to,
Mm-hmm.
this is how I feel today. Because possibly in a year's time, I'm going to feel differently. And he
That's
says,
true.
if we walk with that state of mind, it is much easier to stretch our belief system when we learn more about ourselves, when we
Yeah.
experience more, because he says that many of these experiences that a lot of us are having with family, with friends, with people in the community, they are triggering and bringing things up to the surface so that we can identify our beliefs. So we can
Mhm.
identify the beliefs, the fear, so that we can sort. So he's saying, take the focus off the he said, she said. Take the focus off the drama and say, what does this make me feel inside? Why do I
Well,
feel this way?
it's so funny you bring up feeling, because going back to how do you listen to someone without judgment or agreeing or disagreeing,
Mhm.
something I've found helpful is validating feelings. So some, oh, the gas prices, oh, the economy, oh, the this and the that, and you just say, or, oh, I believe this, or, oh, I believe that. You just listen to their feeling and you say, oh, I'm
Yes,
so sorry that that is causing you so much anguish. I'm so sorry that is giving you so much fear in your life. I'm so sorry that that gives you so much worry. And when you say that, you connect with them emotionally. You are
yes,
not agreeing or disagreeing or even sharing your beliefs,
yes,
but you're reflecting back. I think it actually reflects all that negativity back on them, right? Because you've
yes,
acknowledged it and you've pushed it back on them. And
yes,
also it could bring to light, maybe they'll be like, wow, that's really, why am I so stressed about this? Or it will
yes,
put, reflection back on them.
yes,
So I think that that is a good strategy. One
yes.
I've been using.
He says, excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Mhm.
Good. Good. Well,
Do you
does he
have
have anything else? I know I'm going to say, does he
do
have
you have
any?
any
I
other
mean,
do you have any other
no.
questions that you wanted to ask him?
Um, No, not for today. That is so profound. I love it so much.
Mhm.
I think we can feel so paralyzed by all the big things that are going on
Yeah.
in society, and how do we manage this? And so to just focus on love and not fear, listening
Yes.
without judgment, or sharing your own beliefs. Um, I think
And I
those are
really
really.
like what he said about what he was saying about compassion. Like really
Hmm.
having compassion for ourselves, because when we look at our beliefs or our fears, and we can become so judgmental on ourselves,
Hmm.
hard on ourselves, which can make it so much harder to let go. And we feel like we need to, um he's just saying, prove something to ourselves. And when
Hmm.
we can have more compassion for, well, I felt this way because this is where I was at. I didn't know different. I know different
Right.
now. Having
Right.
that compassion, speaking to ourselves the way that we would speak to a child that's learning,
Right.
because many of these concepts are complex, are different than what we've been taught. But he says, when it comes to happiness and the state of love, we will only find that in the state of being and in the process of compassion to ourselves, and being able to let go of what's truly not us. Because when we start that process, he says, we start to create that role of letting go of the things that are not us, to where it becomes second nature. And we no longer are, right, he's saying it can be exhausting for our human mind. So even as we're talking today, it's like, how am I going to do that? Like in the middle of talking to somebody, and like it's exhausting. But he says that the more we do it, it's changing our reality, it's changing our nature. It's changing
Yeah.
to a natural way that we are, that we all
Yeah.
have within us. And he says, so it becomes easier. And yes, and that's always what I say. He says, like you say, life does not become easier itself. It's we become, uh, it becomes easier for us to handle. becomes
Yeah. We become more
we're
fluid and
yes,
flexible and able
yes,
to,
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree.
So I
I
think what
agree.
we'll do is we'll put up a community post and we'll ask for questions that any of you guys would like to ask Adrian, and we'll have him come back. I'm sure he will. And also, if you have experiences with Adrian, if you share with us what you've experienced. He's a lot of fun to connect with, and it's very interesting to me how he comes through people. So I would love to know what's happening. And Maren, he's in meditation pose right now, so he's coming to you in meditation.
Oh, cool. Well, what's so funny is there was an orb and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's Adrian. And then the second I thought that there was this giant orb and I was like, oh, that's Adrian.
That's
Okay.
Adrian. Yeah, yeah,
so,
yes,
so he is
yeah,
definitely here.
yes, yes. And he's pleased to connect. Very pleased to
Oh,
connect. Yes.
awesome. Well, I can't wait.
So, no, that's great, guys. So, leave your questions. And as always, Maren and I absolutely love each and every one of you. So, we love being here and hope you guys do too.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much, Adrian. We're honored that you could come. We really appreciate it. And thank you,
Thank
Michelle,
you.
for channeling him.
Yes,
Aw,
absolutely. He's always fun.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're
All
welcome.
right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.